welcome back to my channel. My name is Eva if you're new here. Today I thought we would talk a little bit about going back to school. And even though I'm not going back to school, I'm not in school anymore, but a lot of people are going back to school or have started school this past week. And there's so much anxiety surrounding that I thought I would share my top 5 tips on how to kind of get back into the school routine after just this whole year. I think it's even been how long has it been? It's been like almost 2 years maybe? It's been almost 2 years dealing with this coronavirus and just all of the restrictions that are being put into place, including not being in person for school. So now people are starting to transition back into in-person school, and it's definitely a change from being on Zoom all year, which honestly has its own issues. But being in person again, I can definitely see how that would cause so many people anxiety. So I decided to just talk about my top 5 tips on how to help with that transition back into in-person learning. As always, don't forget to subscribe, like this video if you want to see more videos like this, and turn on the notification bell if you want to be notified of when I post new videos. I am trying to follow a schedule of every Friday. So every Friday, look out for a new video from me. So let's talk about school. So as I said, it's all about this transition back into in-person school. And unless you're homeschooled, most of your life is spent in person for school. But these past 2 years have just been nothing like we've seen. And so much Zoom was used for classes and, for meetings and just in almost any profession, not just school, but everyone was using Zoom. So to kind of move back into how it was before all of this could cause so much anxiety and fear just with regard to how to interact, social anxiety, what it's going to be like, and familiarity, which kind of brings me to my first point, which is tip number 1, familiarize yourself again. Don't be afraid to do a walkthrough of your school or your campus just to remind yourself of how it used to be. Go through your classes, figure out where you have to go, just be present on campus or in school, just to feel that sense of familiarity again. I'm sure before all of this happened, it was so easy, unless you were going to a new school. But if you're just going one grade up or 1 year up, you're so used to the environment. But it's been so long that familiarity is gone. So make sure that you go through before classes start and go through your schedule, walk to where you need to go, and really go in knowing what to expect and feeling confident and comfortable in your schedule. Because we spent so much time not on campus or not in school, it can feel so unfamiliar and distant just because we haven't been present there. We have not been on campus or in school in so long. So just reminding yourself of what it was like prior to COVID will help. Also, if they offer any orientations, be sure to go, because they often go over any changes that took place to anything, policy or the actual campus itself, or how classes work, or even like safety procedures or precautionary measures, whatever it is. They'll go over everything step by step so you can know before you actually start. Also a great way to ask any questions you have or to see some friends that you haven't seen in a long time. It's just really important because those are what orientations are designed for, so make sure you go. Also, I'm sure many of you know this, but you can also share your schedule with your friends and see what classes you have in common. You can learn more about the teachers that you have, find out if they're good or bad teachers or what to expect going in. Anything to make you feel more comfortable in knowing what to expect. Because if we walk into a situation, especially school, where it's just so much unknown and we don't really know what's going to happen, or it's just completely unfamiliar, it's going to raise your anxiety significantly. Speaking about anxiety, I want to move into my tip number 2, which has to do with social anxiety. I'm sure a lot of you can agree with me that because of all of the precautions and all of the restrictions, we as people have somewhat unlearned how to interact with others. Moving back into in-person school is going to be really difficult for some people who especially deal with some social anxiety to begin with. So my tip number 2 has to do with social anxiety and how to kind of move into a social space again, which involves making friends, involving yourself in different activities, and how to even have a simple conversation with someone again. So I would recommend be sure to check out clubs, groups, events, anything that involves other people that have similar interests as you. This kind of goes back into feeling familiar and going into situations knowing what to expect. So if you walk into a club or an event that involves people who have similar interests as you, and you go in expecting that they have similar interests as you, it's such an easy way to just have something to talk about right off the bat. People who have similar interests as you have something to start a conversation with. You know what they like, and it's something you like, and it's something that I'm sure both of you can talk about for a while or enjoy doing together. And even once you feel comfortable enough doing that, like going to clubs or groups or events of people who do share your interests, you can start pushing yourself to go to events that you normally wouldn't go to, but involving something that you'd like to learn more about, or something that you want to involve yourself in, or simply just to kind of take the risk and go meet some new people. Along with kind of taking a risk a little bit, try to say yes to invitations. So if someone invites you somewhere, or you learn about an event that your friends are going to, but you're not sure if you want to go, try to just say yes and maybe give it a try. It's always worth a shot. You might end up really loving it, and you might end up making a lot of new friends. So try to push yourself and say yes, even if you really don't feel comfortable doing so. And it is okay to prepare some sort of questions in your mind too, like, oh, what year are you in, or how long have you been in this club for, or do you often go to events like this? Are there any other events that you recommend? Very simple, basic questions that you can go in having prepared. Also, compliments work very well. So if you see something that you like that someone's wearing, or something that they created, like an art club or something, you could say like, oh, I really like that shirt, where did you get it? Or, oh, I really like this painting that you did, how exactly did you do that? Very little things that can prompt a bigger conversation. So eventually maybe you can make a friend. It's also much easier to approach an individual rather than a group, unless you're in, a group or club of people with similar interests. So if you see someone alone, or maybe two people spending some time together, maybe that's a little bit more approachable than a big group. It really depends on what kind of a person you are. If you do better approaching a group, and there might be less pressure in certain ways, or if there's less pressure for you just approaching one individual. And I'll always say just try to be yourself, because if you try to be someone you're not, that's just going to add more anxiety on there, and you're going to have to stick with your stories, or it's going to create a whole mess of more social anxiety that you don't need. So just be yourself. There's nothing wrong with you. So just go into the situation expecting people to like you for who you are. So now that we've talked about familiarity and moving back into socializing, my third tip is look at your routines for school prior to COVID. So did you have a routine prior to COVID that you were implementing, before or after school? It's so important to have a morning and night routine. I talked about this in my routine video, and it doesn't have to be anything elaborate, especially if you're focusing on academics. So just a simple morning routine to get your day started and to get you prepared for school, and a night routine to kind of reset, recover from maybe some homework that you had to do, and get settled before you go to sleep to go to school the next day. A morning routine can be as simple as just waking up, maybe spending 5 or 10 minutes doing some breathing or meditation, and then reviewing your goals for the day, maybe a to-do list that you wrote out the night prior, and then moving into having some breakfast and then going to school. And a night routine can be equally as simple, review the homework that you completed, maybe take a shower or a bath, something soothing, maybe have a cup of tea, and really reset for the next day. Also, make sure that you're getting enough sleep, because often school involves waking up early, unfortunately. So make sure that you're going to bed early and that you're really winding down. Maybe limit some screen time before you go to bed. But if you're in a schedule, and it's not just because of COVID, but because it's been summer, I'm sure that some people are going to bed really late. So if you can inch it a little bit earlier every night, so eventually you can go to sleep a little bit earlier and get your good quality sleep in, so you're waking up feeling refreshed and rested rather than tired and groggy, that's going to really set you up well for school again. Of course, you can't have school without time management, I believe. So my fourth tip is focus on time management. It might seem like a lot of work at first figuring out, how to write out this, how much time to spend on this and this and it might just seem very overwhelming at first, but once you write everything down and have a set routine that you can follow regularly, it will make everything so much easier. So, figure out how much time a day that you on average have to spend on homework. Figure out if you're the kind of person that needs to do homework in a big chunk in the beginning and then relax, or if you need to relax and then do homework, or if you need to do a little bit here, take a break, do a little bit, take a break, and really break it up throughout the night. Because some people work, 1, 2, or 3. Some people really do well procrastinating and then just cramming it in, which I don't recommend, but if it works for you, it works for you. Some people like to just get it all done first and then relax, and some people do really well really breaking it up. So figure out what works for you in terms of time management and getting work done. Buy a really good planner, because often planners do lay out, time spent doing this, to-do lists, notes. They really have everything already set, so all you need to do is fill it in, and it keeps it all in one place so you don't forget anything. I'm obsessed with planners. I'm obsessed with journals and planners, so I think even the way the planner looks can really encourage you to want to fill it out. So find a planner that is really unique to you and one that you really like, because it just motivates you to want to fill it all out. And like I said, it's important to take breaks. So just like you're organizing your work, organize your self-care. Put some time in every day to relax and do self-care, especially on the weekends. Maybe specifically plan something that you know you love doing or that you've been looking forward to doing. Even if it's, again, it doesn't have to be something huge. It could just be something very simple that really, really resets you. Or else you're going to experience burnout, and that's just going to throw you all out of whack, and it's not going to make you want to do anything. And finally, my tip number 5 is to write it out. This goes along with the planner, but not even the planner. Just, have a piece of paper or a journal that you can write out all of your goals for the school year. And it could be academic goals, but it can also be health and fitness goals. It could be mindfulness goals. It could be travel goals, hopefully one day when all this is over. It could be anything. It could be any aspect of your life. Just write down your goals for the year so it's all on paper. And also, if you're feeling overwhelmed or you have some worries or anxiety, you can also write those down and maybe go through a list and really read each one, maybe brainstorm ways that you can move past it or address it. And even maybe seeing it on paper would just help you kind of make sense of it all. It's so much harder with anything if it's just floating around in your mind and it's just not on a piece of paper written down in front of you. And it just makes it a little bit harder to manage if you're just thinking about it, and including not just things to do, but including like your fears, your anxieties, your worries. If you write those down and get a sense of where you're at and maybe brainstorm ways that you can address these different anxieties and worries, it will put you in a much better place. And there's nothing wrong with trial and error. So if you want to brainstorm a way to address something and then you try it and it doesn't work, write it down that it didn't work. Just keep track so you know how to grow in different ways and you can really figure out what works that is unique to you. Okay, everybody, I hope that this video really helped you if you are going back to school. I know it's super intimidating and causing a lot of anxiety for a lot of people because it has just not been this way for such a long time. And even though school has been so familiar for such a long time before COVID, now it's kind of this unknown, unfamiliar, kind of weird phase where we're transitioning back into real life. So I do hope that these tips can help. Just be yourself, try to make some new friends, try to maintain old friendships, and take everything just day by day. If you think about the big picture too much, and if you're thinking about the future and trying to control everything, it's just going to overwhelm you. So just take it day by day, week by week, see how you get back into the flow, and everything will eventually fall into place. All right, everybody, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I look forward to speaking to you again soon. Bye!